Hello everyone, welcome back to a mod tutorial for Applied Energistics. I am Zarul, your conductor for today's train wreck of an episode, and we're going to go ahead and expand today on what we were finished off with previously. So, in the previous episode, I went over the basics of the ME drives, the ME storage cells, the ME controllers, the terminals and crafting terminals. So we went over all this information. Now, the construction of these is fairly simple. I didn't go over that, but let me go over that real quick there. It's for the most part iron, glass. The main things is going to be the processors, which, again, I described earlier. There's two levels of processor, the basic processor and the advanced processor. The advanced processor requiring a diamond instead of gold. And then each of the different storage cells requiring storage blocks, which require smaller storage blocks, and so forth. So it all builds on one another. So I do recommend to again look over the website for a lot of this information, and it is all viewable through any eye on the construction of everything there. Construction of everything is very simple. What we're going over is we're going over the uses of the mod itself. So we've got our situation here where we've now finally emptied these chests out. So let's go ahead and take all of these down, like so. There we go. So let's say we've successfully now converted. Break. There we go. And like so. So we've converted our old storage from chests into Applied Energistics. Well, there is another way. Looks like a gravity chest is empty here. There is another way to get storage other than the storage cells. So what you can do, and let's set up something a little bit different here. We got some chests in here. So let's go ahead and grab a stack of diamond chests. So the diamond chest can, let's say that we have this over here. We have this line where we've just got a bunch of diamond chests that we've set up. Because diamond chests can store a lot. And let's take that even a step further and say we got a bunch of barrels. Because barrels can store one item, and it can store a lot of it. So, diamond chest and barrels. Let's go ahead and pop these back in here. Alright, so you can do a couple of different things. So, for just doing a straight addition of the storage space in an item to your network, you're going to use a storage bus. Now let's make a quick wrench here because we'll need that in a minute. So let's do this. Let's bring the cable this way, and then let's attach storage to each of these, like so. So now when we go back in here, not only do we have the massive storage in this, but these are now also considered part of the ME network. And to demonstrate this, well, let's go ahead and... Yep. Let's do that. Like so. So let's say we added all of this quartz in here. As you'll see, this has, instead of putting it in one of these storage cells, this put it in this. Now, the way that it decides which of these units is chosen when everything has equal priority, I couldn't tell you. But from what I've been able to see, typically a regular barrel will have higher priority to have items inserted than that over there. So, what do I mean by priority? So let's go ahead and go back to this, and let's take a look at this top one and say we're going to shift right click. for different drives and storage buses, you can have different priorities. What it'll mean is that when an item is being pulled from or inputted, a higher priority, 2 is higher than 1, for instance, will get that item before something else in the network will. So we've set let's set this, well, also, if you just right-click, you can change the way this is placed. So you don't have to worry about placing it a certain way. You will need a wrench for that. So let's set this to 10. So what this means is now this very first one here is going to be getting any items that we were to throw back in here that is going to be new. So let's say we have the rubberwood corner cover. Well, we throw this back in, and is now moved over here because this has a higher priority than the rest of the network here. Similarly, if say we did this down here at 20, and we did the exact same thing, pull this out, put it back in. When you access one of these, well, assuming that it lets you, if you haven't completely blocked it off, like so, you'll see it popped in there. So that's all there is to storage buses. It takes an existing storage, an existing inventory of some sort, and it adds it like so. Now with barrels, it will input into the barrel, and it'll access it from the barrel from any side. So let's say we have this rubberwood cover corner again. So we shift right-click to pull one out, and even though it's not pulling from the bottom or from the front, it will still extract it from the inventory. Pretty cool, huh? Throw that back in there. Now, and then this will have one in here because this now has the higher priority, and it will fill up first. Well, let's say that you have a chest over here, and you want to put in a certain item. We're going to use an export bus. So let's say we're going to move stacks of items, and we are, in fact, going to come back over here, and let's keep one of these out. And let's say here, the quartz that is now down there, we want to move it into this chest. So we go over here, we place it in like that, and you'll see it is now exporting out of the network and into the chest. So it's very important to keep this in mind. Now when we go back over here, the quartz is no longer in the network. It has been exported from the network into the chest. If you attached another, like an import bus to it, you could pull it back in. You could attach a storage bus, and it would then be considered part of storage. But you can just export it this way. This is really useful when you're automating networks, for instance, over here. So let's take the previous example, and let's say we'll just go this way here. Let's get our light back up. Alright, so we've got this set up right here. So let's say we want to go ahead and macerate some iron ore. So we're going to set an export bus up here, and we're going to connect it to the network like so. And then let's go over here and look at iron like that, and let's keep it initially at 1. And we're going to tell it iron ore. So now this is going to put one at a time here in the macerator. So we now have automated the process of exporting ore into the macerator. Cool, huh? Alright, so let's say let's go ahead and let's pull this back out like that. So let's say we have some more ore. Say we also want to grind up some quartz ore, or macerate some quartz ore. So we throw that in, and now we have 2 items set to be automatically macerated whenever it's possible. whenever it can output in here, because this is set to always be active. Now, you may be thinking to yourself, that's a whole lot of good. Now it's going to do this. What are you going to do with it? Well, what you can now do is you can set up an import bus, like so, and automatically suck the items back out, like that. Now, for these, just like with pipes, the place that you import and export has to be the same as if you're feeding them with pipes. So import at the top, export from the sides. So now anytime something gets macerated, whatever comes out gets sucked back into the network. So let's pull up the iron dust, like so. Well, let's go ahead and go back over here to the furnace. So let's take it one step further and say we want to automatically cook stuff in the furnace, like this. So what we do is we set up an export bus on top, an import bus on the side, and for the export bus, tell it iron dust. And now it's going to constantly try and feed this with iron dust. It's going to make iron, and then it's going to suck it out through the network on the side. So what we've done here is we've automated the maceration smelting of iron. So say you have a quarry set up, which is just digging tons and tons of stuff. As soon as it hits iron, it'll output here. It'll turn it into dust. The dust will be output here, turn to ingots. The ingots will go back into your network, like so. This is the heart of automation with this. One of the hearts of automation with this when it comes to the import and the export buses. So, real simple. And so we've got a bunch of inventory. We have automatic smelting of iron. In fact, let's take it one step further, and let's say for this compressor, like so, that we're going to automatically input iron into the compressor, which, since I'm using GregTech, requires a compressor to make iron blocks. This will make iron blocks, which will be sucked back out of the network. All well and good. So let's say then we'll take it a little bit differently here. Let's do one more thing. So we got our storage. We have our automated creation of blocks over here. We have ways to access it. We have quartz being exported here, and lots of extra storage space over there. Well, the next thing we can look at is we can look at automatic crafting. So let's do this. So heat vent, containment wall. Let me dig this out real quick here. This will make more sense in just a minute here when I get to this. Alright, let's do this first real quick. So let's say that you're sitting there and you want to know at a glance exactly how many iron you have in your network. So that's what the storage monitor is for. So, iron triple panels. That's actually really odd that it was doing that. Very, very odd. Huh. Ah, I think I understand there. I think I just chose that later. So, let's say we have this block of iron. So what this shows you at a glance now is this can now tell you how much iron you have. So you can't do anything other than get rid of it initially, but you right click with something and there's how much iron you have, iron blocks. Let's throw those back in. Now, if you take a wrench and you shift right click, it'll lock it so you can no longer get rid of that. Very cool. Now, where is this next item here? So one of the things that you can do if you have, I believe it is, let's see if that's what I'm looking for here. There we go. If you shift right click with the conversion matrix on a storage chest, you can now pop items out of it, just like if you were to over here. You cannot put it back in. So you cannot import through this, but you can export. So if there's something you need on the go, there you go. And let's throw it back, like so. Alright, so we've got all of this. We've got our storage monitor telling us how much iron we have. And we decide that we want to do some automatic crafting of various things. Now we have, say, so we've got some wood. We've got some boiler pieces. We want to craft some stuff. So for this, we're going to make an ME crafting computer system, which is really, really cool. So let's do this over here. And to do this, first this is a multi-block structure. So the way you do this is you start off by making a frame of a containment wall. And let's go up 3, like so. And then 1, 2, 3. So this is the containment wall. This can be any size that you can desire, as long as all the edges are containment wall. Now the walls themselves have to be filled in with heat vents, like so. And to make these, this is quartz, gold, and iron for the containment wall. A cable, iron bars, and iron ingots. So it uses lots of iron for all this. So let's go ahead and keep placing that. So as far as you know, there is literally no size limitation on this, so long as all the pieces are in place. Now, what we do with this next is we fill this section with either crafting CPUs. Let's get some more heat vents. Or, where is that at? Or it's going to be a pattern. Let me see here. Yeah, pattern provider. So what the pattern provider does is let you store blank patterns, which I'll go over in just a minute. The crafting CPU lets you, the more crafting CPUs you have, the more item creations can take place in a single tick. And the bigger this is, the more energy it takes. So let's turn the sun back on. And the only caveat to this is that the entire internal section has to be filled up with these. So let's finish filling these in with the heat vents. And then, poof. Oh. Make sure we did this correctly. Yep. Alright, so we got all of that. Let's check under here. That looks good so far. Excellent. Alright. So, now we got to go ahead and connect this to our network. So just like any other item, we just run cable and we connect it to the network, like so. Well, let's try it again here. Yep. I knew I did something wrong here. Used the wrong block. Let's go ahead and replace this real quick here. I'm back in a moment. Alright, so here we go. I've replaced it with the correct block to the containment wall. And there we go. So you see we connected and now we have it all put in place. So what you'll see here is you'll see for the molecular assembler chamber, there is now a series of, think of them like internal chests for patterns. And what this will let us do now is fill this up with patterns, which we can use to craft with. Alright, now how do we do that? So what we have to do this is we have to get a pattern encoder. So, do this like so. Now the pattern encoder requires no connection to the network to work at all. And let's do this. Alright. Alright, so let's see here. So, wood. Let's say we have a bunch of this wood in here. Alright. So, we're going to go ahead and, let's go ahead and throw a bunch of this in here. Like so. And then let's go ahead and throw a bunch of this in here, like so. Alrighty. So let's say we want to make sticks. So the way this works is we do this like that. It's a phantom image there, and this says 2 of those make a stick. So we have that. That shows the output, and that gives us our blank pattern. Cool, huh? Now, so let's go ahead and throw this in here. And you'll see that when it just says like that, it just gives you a list of dries. When you shift, it'll say crafts 4 stick with 2 birchwood planks. Alright. So let's do this next and say we can do one of those. And one of those. That. And we throw these in here. So we now have it where we can craft sticks and other stuff. So let's go over here. And now if we toggle this by numbers, you'll see that since there is no sticks or birchwood slabs in here, it is showing up on the least number. So let's say we want to craft this. So you click on it, and it will start crafting. The more crafting CPUs you have in the assembler, the faster this will go through. So let's pull this back out, and you just click on it. This pops up, you choose the number, let's say 64, and it crafts it like that. If you have a small number of CPUs, it does take a little bit of time. Alright, so that's all well and good. Let's say we now have the stick, and we want to craft a sword. We now have a sword ready. Like so. So, let's say that for some reason we have no more sticks left in here. When we craft a wooden sword, this will say, first we need a stick. So we're going to craft a stick, and then we're going to craft the sword. So we craft one, and like that. It's just like that. If you have a multi-step process, you can program this to do every step of the process and just get a finished result. It is very, very handy. So again, craft, let's say 10, and we have 10 swords, like so. Cool. And let's just throw all this in here. Alright. So that is the assembler. And you see you can craft an enormous amount here. You could set it to craft every item in the game so long as you have a sufficient number of resources. Let's say that you're doing something and you run out of resources. So let's do this a little let's show you another item. So let's clear that out. And where is, let's see here. Here's the crafting monitor. Now, the crafting monitor is a way for you to look at an item and see what is currently being crafted and what it needs if it's missing something. So let's pull this back out. And let's go grab our sticks. So, let's say we pull all this out and we now ask it to craft us. Let's just look at craft. Let's say craft it one sword. Well, we'll see when we look on this, it is waiting for sticks to show up in the inventory before it can craft it. So let's throw these sticks in, run back over here, and it says, I've got sticks now, finish crafting, and we're done. So this is a way that you can keep an eye on what you need to put into your system in order for crafting to take place. Now with all of this, you'll see that we've jumped up dramatically in the amount of energy that we're using up there. So, you know, these 4 high voltage solar arrays are easily keeping up, but something to be on the lookout for. Now, let's show you one more thing here before we break for give us another episode break, is the dark cable. So, let's say that you only sometimes want to have the network connected to something. So, let's do this over here. So let's say that only sometimes do you want your crafting nodes to be able to import stuff. So take a look at that. We have iron dust in there and iron ore in here. Well, it's still technically connected to the network, but let's see here. Do we have some cobblestone in here? We do not. Do we have any button? No, we don't. So let's do this real quick. And let's grab a few levers. Turn that back off. There we go. So, we know that we have iron in the network ready to be macerated. But with this dark cable, what this dark cable says is... break it there. If it does not have a redstone signal applied, it will not turn on. So you'll see that it is darker than the rest. We turn that on, we activate it, and all of a sudden we got this going through. We turn it off, it goes darker again, and it no longer starts providing iron and such there. So, but on the other hand, 151, 148, 144. This is a way to turn off entire segments of your network so that you don't need to worry about spending the resources. Similarly, you could turn off your computer system entirely, like so. If you don't want to have the ability to craft anything, and you'll see with just these 2 dark cables, we've now dropped down to 107 units. Cool. So This is the next step here in applied energistics. We'll polish another episode break here. There is not a whole lot more to cover. We will do on the next episode. We'll finish off the specifics of crafting, and then that should be pretty much it there. We'll be looking at a few more specific blocks, and we should be good to go. So, thank everyone for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode. Have a great day, everyone.